Thousands are without power as Tropical Storm Helene pushes further into the U.S. We have team coverage on damage in the region.
When you see a student that's trying their best, but still struggling, and then out of nowhere, it just clicks and it just goes off.
A program is solving two issues at once. How this could help bring new people to Muskingum County.
And in sports, some football games are still on in Southeast Ohio tonight despite the weather. Newswatch starts right now. Taking a live look outside at Athens. Right now, Southeast Ohio faces strong winds and rain as Tropical Storm Helene pushes further into the U.S. AEP Ohio is reporting over 80,000 customers are currently without power across the region tonight. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Alex Mwali.
And I'm Allison Patton. Helene, now a tropical storm is having a major effect across much of the United States as the storm pushes farther into the U.S. interior.
Here's a look at damage across Athens County, where roughly 1,000 AEP customers are without power. Similar reports of strong winds and heavy rain are behind storm damage across the region.
The National Weather Service warns these dangerous conditions may not end when the rain stops falling.
I want to really be thoughtful about making sure they watch out for down power lines. They don't walk through or drive through floodwaters. If your power is out, don't use candles, use flashlights.
Our team of forecasters say dangerous wind gusts, torrential rain, and flooding will threaten Southeast Ohio for the next several hours. Significant landslides are expected in steep terrain across the southern Appalachians. Our team of meteorologists have you covered as this storm rolls through.
Lead forecaster Emily Dietz is with us live in studio with the latest on conditions. But we want to start tonight with forecaster Lexi Bell-Polsey.
Lexi, what's the latest on what's going down out there on Mill Street?
Yeah, Alex and Allison, the rain may be slowing down, but the wind is starting to pick up. I'm standing along Mill Street here in Athens, where earlier today a large part of a tree fell earlier and obstructed traffic and as well as closed the road. But in the last few hours, luckily, crews have been able to clean up the downed tree and reopen the street. Earlier this afternoon, residents did say that the strong winds that caused this damage did take them by surprise. So on that note, if you look over here, we do have a possible another tree that looks like it's going to be falling. As we walked past earlier, you could see the splintering at the base of the tree. As a precaution, they put up precaution tape for that possibility. It is unclear how many people along the street are without power at this time, but like we mentioned earlier, AEP Ohio mentions that almost 1,000 customers in Athens County are without power. We'll be sure to keep you up to date with post-tropical cyclone Helene, as updates come in, as she continues to push across southeastern Ohio. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Lexi Bell-Polsey, live in Athens.
Thanks, Lexi.
Here with more on the severe weather making its way across our region is lead forecaster Emily Dietz. Emily, it looks clear outside now, but what can we expect going into the night?
Well, for tonight, we're actually looking at a couple of clear skies, especially in Athens and moving up towards the northeast. But if you're lower near Ironton or if you're near Chillicothe, you're still going to be seeing some rain. And taking a look at our Athens currently, it's clear skies outside, which is really quite different from what we had most of the day. Most of the day today, we had a lot of rain, and I know I had a hard time staying dry walking around campus. Even my rain jacket and umbrella weren't doing me any good because all of that wind was just blowing the rain right back into me. But at least with all this rain, we have cooler conditions outside. It's not as hot in the 80s or 90s as it was the past couple of weeks. But Hurricane Helene is still pushing a lot of watches and warnings throughout the area, southern Ohio, especially near the southwestern part where this storm is really taking a lot of shape right now. But taking a look near Athens, we don't really see a lot of warnings or even really any watches throughout the area. We've had a lot of rain this week, but for the most part, a lot of this has moved away and is moving towards the west. Now here's a quick look at our radar throughout the day today. You can really see how the storm moves up from that southeast and is moving over towards the western part of the state, just dropping buckets of rain and bringing in a lot of wind. And even some of the rain that we saw yesterday was brought up by Hurricane Helene. So even though Hurricane Helene made landfall on Thursday, It's still, the bands were extending so far up into Ohio that we saw cloud coverage, rain, even a little wind yesterday, but the bulk of the system is now almost looks like it's spinning back on itself here in southeast Ohio, particularly near Tennessee and Kentucky as well, who are experiencing the bulk of this right now. We did see a lot of these winds as well since we are on this outer part of this hurricane and a big low pressure associated with it, and we're actually going to continue to see rain sitting with this system. So unlike most weather that we see, it's not going to just push off towards the east right away. It's going to stall out here a little bit. So today, tomorrow, and into Sunday, we're still going to see rain dropped by this system. Now taking a look at tonight, again, we're going to see some off and on showers, not too heavy for Athens, Ohio, but it'll at least be an overnight low of 60. So if you're going outside, you might want to grab some rain gear, but you might not need a sweatshirt. So there's always a good side.
Thanks, Emily. Strong storms rolling through tonight, but help is available for victims of past storms in Ohio. The state has freed up resources to help communities significantly affected by severe weather events this year. The State Disaster Relief Program is intended to provide assistance to local governments and eligible private nonprofit organizations for costs associated with the storms. Assistance is offered to a number of southeast Ohio counties for flooding and severe storms that hit the area in April. Organizations have 14 days to send a letter to apply to the program.
A project on Sunday Creek receives thousands of dollars to reverse environmental damage. Reporter Rosie Wong has more on how a local group is cleaning up the watershed. Rosie, what can we expect with this?
Allison, this is part of a larger statewide program to improve water quality across the state. The grant program administered by the Ohio Department of Natural Resources plans over $7 million across the state, including right here at home. The Sunday Creek you see right now is a result of pre-regulation abandoned coal mines. Restoring the stream has been on Rural Action's agenda for over 30 years with the goal of preserving this natural habitat. Senior Director of Ecological Restoration from Rural Action, Nate Schlater, says it doesn't have to stay this way. $120,000 of H2 Ohio grant funding will be used on this 10-acre Sunday Creek site to improve water quality for the community.
We're going to bring them over here to enjoy this site and come out and learn about native species and learn about what a floodplain should look like when it's healthy.
Director of Environmental Programs at Ohio University, Jen Bowman, says a crucial part of the project is to create a riparian corridor as a buffer to filter out pollutants or sediments before water enters the stream.
Whenever we see a section of the floodplain next to our streams that is barren or doesn't have much vegetation, planting native species of trees and shrubs in that area will make your streams and your rivers healthier.
This helps bring back more bugs and fish for a healthy habitat. The restoration project will also bring volunteers on board to install 3,000 trees at this site in 2026. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Rosie Wong.
Congress has extended funding to reimburse stolen SNAP benefits, with EBT theft on the rise locally. Experts say without the extension, low-income residents would have no way to buy groceries. Ohio has reimbursed $5.5 million of stolen EBT funds just in the last 6 months. Officials recommend people freeze their EBT accounts between uses and change their PINs before new funds are loaded into their account each month.
Good news for consumers. Inflation is cooling off, paving the way for lower rates. According to the Federal Reserve's inflation gauge, consumers paid 2.2% more for goods and services in August, compared to 2.5% in July. That's getting closer to the Fed's 2% target. It's also below 2.3% economists predicted. Muskingum County wants to attract more permanent residents with a degree and a passion for community, and a $50,000 scholarship might do the trick. Here's more on the program. Gerald Hall left Washington, D.C. to play football at Muskingum University, but got a degree to chase that aha effect.
When you see a student that's trying their best, but still struggling, and then out of nowhere, it just clicks and it just goes off.
Paul is an intervention specialist at Zanesville High School, with over $80,000 in student loan debt.
I thought I was going to be paying off my student debt until I retired or further past that.
The Muskingum County Community Foundation is paying $50,000 of his debt, with a catch: spending 5 years in the county.
And we feel over those 5 years, by having the requirement that they need to get active in the community, they begin to build those roots.
Hall is also the high school football coach. His impact goes beyond the school. Chief Executive Officer for MCCF, Brian Wagner, says the Make Muskingum Home program has generated about $1.4 million of tax revenue from participants and their families. That was in the first 2 years. Now the application period is open for its third year, and some candidates have a serious need.
The amount of debt these students are talking about is not $20,000. It's not $30,000. We are seeing 6 figures. It's a common number now.
MCCF Program Director Beth Fox says last year, about 70 applicants applied the first week of the program's opening. Eligible applicants currently living in the county must have graduated from college or a post-secondary school within the last 3 years. Applicants living outside the county must have graduated within the last 7 years. For more information, you can visit the website on your screen.
Coming up, a common illness with some severe symptoms. How to keep your kids safe from whooping cough this season.
Up in sports, which high school matchups to keep your eye on?
Things have been rainy this entire week, but will we see rain into this weekend? Be sure to stay tuned to Newswatch to find out.
It all starts here. The Olmec, the Taino, the Maya, the Inca, the Aztec. These were the OG civilizations of Latin America.
It's important to not underestimate the people that came before us and what they knew.
The sophistication in the arts and architecture of these massive cities that were bigger than European cities.
We still have a language and a culture and a bond. We come from great empires, and that's who we are.
Tonight at 9 on WOUB.
The 37th Hispanic Heritage Awards. We honor Carmelo Anthony, Julio Torres, Los Ángeles Azules, Rian Silva, and Carolina Herrera, with a special celebration of the legacy of Roberto Clemente, with performances by Morat, Nati Peluso, Los Ángeles Azules, Sima Funk, Jimena Sariñana, and more. Hosted by Ani Gonzalez.
Tonight at 10 on WOUB.
This is the PBS Video app. Install it on your phone, tablet, smart TV, or other streaming device, and use it to access more of the PBS shows you love. But if you're looking for even more shows to binge like this, or early access to shows like this, then look for this icon. That's the PBS Passport icon, and it means that video is part of PBS Passport. Passport is our way of saying thank you to our station members. Donate to your local PBS station today, and one of the member benefits you'll receive is PBS Passport, which offers extended access to a growing library of new and favorite PBS programs. You can support your station and your community by becoming a member today. Visit pbs.org/getpassport for details. Watch PBS Passport anytime on any screen, wherever you stream. It's your ticket to the best of PBS.
Good evening from another rainy day down here in Southeast Ohio. But things in Athens are starting to clear up, and at least our temperatures are pretty comfortable outside. Although our humidity is pretty high, it's a comfortable 73 degrees. But if you're anywhere near Chillicothe, Portsmouth, or Ironton, or anywhere near Cincinnati or Wilmington, you are still seeing the bulk of Hurricane Helene, the rain bands that are moving through the area. And while we don't see a lot of these watches and warnings that are currently sitting near Southeast Ohio, we are still seeing them in a bulk part of Southern Ohio, and that's really, again, from this hurricane that has moved through the area. Now, this hurricane made landfall on Thursday, but even though it was still down in the Gulf and near Florida, we still saw some rain and some wind and a lot of cloud coverage just because the storm system was so big. So we were right on the outer edge of that, and now the storm system has moved up towards Tennessee, towards Kentucky area. We are still on the edge of that, but experiencing a lot more of its intensity. We've seen a lot of rainfall today, even some downed trees and some power lines, power outages across the state of Ohio, and we're getting a lot of wind as well. So if you were outside at all today, you know whether it was an umbrella or whether it was a rain jacket, you were having a hard time staying dry just because of all of this rain. Now moving forward, we're still going to see the system sort of start to stall out out a little bit in this area, and so we're still going to keep getting hit with a little bit of this weather. Now tonight, things in Athens, once again, we'll see a little bit of spotty showers tonight, but for the most part, things will be mostly clear as far as the rain goes, still cloudy skies, but we'll see that low of 60 degrees. So pretty comfortable again with our temperature wise. Now taking a look at what we really want to know with it being homecoming weekend here at OU, what's going to happen for tomorrow? We have the parade starting at 10 in the morning, and for now, the radar is looking pretty clear. We'll still have a couple clouds over our heads, but we also have that football game starting around 3:30 in the afternoon, and that's when we start to see a little bit more of this rain move into the area. So hopefully we don't see any thunder or lightning with it, and we're not really expecting any at the moment, but it might just be a bit of a rainy day tomorrow. So whether you're outside at the parade, you might want a jacket for that, but if you're at the football game, you're definitely going to want to bring that rain gear because we are expecting some showers. Here's a good look at 60% chance of showers really in that afternoon time with a high of 73 degrees and another low of 62. Now taking a look tomorrow, here's a better look at how that system is kind of sitting down in this area. It hasn't really moved from where it's at today because up in the upper levels of the atmosphere, things have shifted a little bit with those winds. So our lows are what we call no longer stacked. So our upper level sort of cutoff low is shifted over into a different area than where our low is at the surface. And so that's kind of creating the system to salt out a little bit. So as we move into tomorrow and especially into Sunday, we're still going to keep getting hit from this rain and a little bit of this wind as the system continues to hang out into the area. And if you're like me, you're wondering, when are we going to get a relief? Well, taking a look again at Sunday, here's a better look of what's going on across the U.S. We have another frontal system to the north of us that's going to come down, push some more weather on us for Monday and Tuesday. But by the time Wednesday rolls around, we see a high pressure that's going to move into our area and actually leave us with some nice conditions. So we'll finally see that sunshine on Wednesday and Thursday and really start to feel like fall outside since we are now in that fall season. So I'm really looking forward to that, and I hope you are too. And I hope you all have a great weekend, and be sure to stay tuned for final weather to keep looking at that rain forecast for tomorrow.
Thanks, Emily. Tonight's severe weather is having a major impact on high school football as well. All those football games across Southeast Ohio tonight.
Joining us live for the preview of games is Gridiron Glory host Haley Hollander. Haley, what key matchups do we get to look forward to tonight?
Thanks, guys. I'm here in Waterford right now where the Wildcats are about to kick off against Eagles. As you can see, it is still a little gloomy outside, but it's clearing up. Before we can get to the Wildcats and the Eagles, though, we've got to preview a few matchups first. We're going to start out in the MSL Cardinal, where the Miller Falcons will be facing off against Grove City Christian. This game is crucial to conference standings and may determine the MSL Cardinal champion. Defense will be the hot topic of this matchup. The Eagles have had four shutouts so far this season, and the Falcons have only had one close game. It'll be interesting to see who takes flight tonight. Now we have an FAC matchup between Hillsborough and Miami Trace. Now this game has been postponed until 10 a.m. tomorrow, but the Indians will still be fighting for a playoff spot, while the Panthers are seeking out a home playoff game. Both of these squads love to run the ball, but Miami Trace also loves to defend it. Of course, the air attack isn't out of the question, and utilizing it could cause trouble for the defenders. We're going to go down the docket to Warren at Athens. This game has also been rescheduled due to weather and will be played at 10 a.m. on Saturday morning in Warren. Athens' depth has been on display for the past couple of weeks, but the Warriors are sure to test it. They're currently 4-1 and will be looking to prove themselves as well.
Yeah, looks like we lost Haley there. Hopefully we'll be able to get right back out to her, unfortunately.
Next up, the CDC reports a rise in whooping cough. What you need to know to stay safe.
On Masterpiece Mystery.
I'm here because of the murder of Frank Paris.
I need my half of the money.
Get out, Frank!
Mr. Berlin,
You must have been angry.
angry enough to kill her.
We have information that could help you.
You should have told her. It's none of her business. Why does everything have to be so bloody complicated?
The investigation or your personal life?
Both.
Moonflower Murders on Masterpiece Mystery.
Sunday at 9 on WOUB.
Craving adventure? Passport is your ticket to the hottest destinations in drama. Check into luxurious hotels. Hit exclusive beaches. But fair warning, travel plans can sometimes get complicated. If you've got the itch for drama, travel the world and stream now with Passport on the PBS app.
That is beautiful.
So much anticipation.
My heart's beating.
This is a breakthrough moment, and it won't be the last.
The lionesses, you have to be very careful here.
What we've learned about weather on other planets has rewritten what was possible.
In many ways, the Assyrians are the beginning of the modern world.
Wednesday on WOUB.
Our world is transforming before our very eyes, and we need to be ready. So join me in the lab and in the field to discover the latest science about our changing weather and climate and how a better future is within reach. Join me for Weathered.
Vice President Kamala Harris visits the U.S.-Mexico border in Arizona to make her pitch on immigration. With fewer than 40 days until the election, Harris is expected to go on the offensive against former President Donald Trump's immigration policies. Her visit is part of an attempt to close the significant polling gap with Trump on this topic.
As president, I will bring back the border security bill that Donald Trump killed, and I will sign it into law.
While Democrats have grappled with years of immigration issues, the Harris campaign sees an opportunity. Right now, the border crossings are at the lowest they've been since 2020. New York City Mayor Eric Adams pleads not guilty to his 5-count federal indictment. Adams arrived in a federal court in Manhattan this morning for an arraignment. He faces charges of bribery, wire fraud, and accepting improper campaign contributions. Adams is the first mayor of New York to be indicted while still in office.
It's a common disease in the U.S., but cases of whooping cough are on the rise and seem to be higher this year than what we saw at this time last year.
Cases of whooping cough are surging in the U.S., 5 times higher than they were at the same point last year, according to preliminary data from the CDC.
And that's even before we really enter respiratory virus season, where I think that we're going to see even more cases as we go forward.
Dr. Donald Dunford with Cleveland Clinic says years ago, before the development of a vaccine, there were many more whooping cough cases. This year's number of cases is more in line with pre-pandemic levels. But for those most vulnerable, like young children and the elderly, that's concerning.
About a third of infants will get hospitalized, and actually about 1% of infants that develop whooping cough will actually die from the infection.
The CDC says early symptoms can mimic a common cold. 1 to 2 weeks after those start, there can be rapid, violent, and uncontrolled coughing fits that can make it hard for a person to breathe and can last up to 10 weeks.
They can kind of get blue in the face, and then there's a very sharp intake of air that kind of causes this whoop.
Dunford says the best protection against whooping cough is vaccination. It's typically given to young children, but he says it's recommended for adults who haven't received it too, along with boosters. And it's especially important for those who are pregnant.
Remember that infants very highly rely on their mothers for their immune system over those first 6 months of life.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Still ahead, how much do you really know about Ohio University? Put your trivia to the test after the break.
Governor Tim Walz,
The ball's in our hands. Let's find a new way forward.
Senator J.D. Vance,
We are going to lead a great American comeback.
How will the candidates for vice president convince voters to support their respective tickets?
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
Most Americans have no idea they are not voting for the candidate they think they're voting for. Rather, they are voting for a slate of electors.
My role as an elector is to cast my electoral vote for Donald Trump if he wins the state of Colorado.
If Biden wins, then I will be one of the official electors.
I don't think I'm someone that you would think of when you think of an elector. I'm hoping this changes my destiny. Maybe I'll meet a Kardashian or a West.
Tuesday at 9 on WOUB.
Stop skimming.
Stop scrolling.
Just listen.
100 years ago today, they walked away from the
All you need
in one place.
every afternoon.
Los Angeles, I fell in love with pinball 6 or 7 years ago.
All things considered from NPR.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
It's homecoming weekend here in Athens, and to celebrate, we decided to quiz students on how well they know their own school.
Yeah. Reporter Jack Green has the results on who passed and who needs to hit the history books.
We've asked Ohio University students how well they know their school to celebrate the past 3 homecomings. Now we're back with some more fun facts, so let's see how they do. Ohio University may have been founded in 1804, but when were the first classes held?
1807. I'll go with 1810.
1806.
1850.
1810.
1807.
1809.
1808.
Do you know why, sir? I have no idea why. So when was homecoming officially recognized by OU?
1932.
1810.
Like 1960. I don't know, probably also sometime in the 1930s maybe.
It was actually 1919.
Guys, I'm a tour guide, like I need to know this.
Green and white are synonymous with OU, but it wasn't always that way. What are the original school colors?
Was it green and gray?
Red and gold.
Red and white. Red and blue. Maybe blue and white?
That's it. What group headlined the first concert in the Convocation Center on homecoming weekend in 1968?
Kiss.
John Denver.
The Beatles? I want to say like the 110, but I feel like it's not the 110. Guns N' Roses.
Taylor Swift.
Simon and Garfunkel.
No way, you got that.
The one thing I can confidently say. Oh, okay, I love them actually. Damn, that's
yep,
cool.
They were here in
That's really cool.
Yeah, that was a great job researching by Jack, but I do have to say, I'm a fan of the green and white. What happened with blue and white? I don't like that. I don't claim that whatsoever.
You don't like blue and white? Our set is
okay.
blue and white.
I didn't look behind me before I said that. But let's take it over to final weather. Let's talk about what we can expect over the weekend.
For sure. Well, things are definitely going to be really interesting this weekend. You know, it's homecoming. We've got the parade tomorrow morning. Parade is going to be at 10 a.m. And we're looking at some clear skies for now. You know, we might see a little bit of a sprinkle, but for the most part, things are looking clear for the parade. But the football game is really where you need to watch and grab your jacket because those rain showers are going to be starting to move through off and on, starting at around 2 p.m. in the afternoon and going to about 9, 10 p.m. at night. So it's going to be a rainy football game, but the rest of the weekend is also looking just as rainy. Sunday, we are still going to be seeing part of Hurricane Helene, and as we move to Monday and Tuesday, that's actually no longer going to be Hurricane Helene, but now a different system, but at least Wednesday and Thursday are looking nice.
And that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thanks for watching.
Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.